We begin today's wrestling news and rumors video with a bit of news and updates regarding CM Punk returning to wrestling and potentially joining AEW All Elite Wrestling in the near future. Now, as most of you are likely aware, the whole CM Punk coming back to wrestling and possibly signing with AEW has arguably been the biggest news story of the past few months, with a lot of fans being truly excited to see the cult of personality make a return to the ring for the first time since 2014. And while some sources have claimed that CM Punk joining AEW is a done deal, others have made it clear that nothing is official as of yet. And it is still simply just a rumor that CM Punk is going to sign with AEW, and that it still is only in contract negotiations. Regardless, it is still big news, and as of today, there is another sign that points to CM Punk making the move to All Elite Wrestling. For those of you unaware, Living Colour, the band that was responsible for CM Punk's infamous Cult of Personality theme song, in both WWE and UFC, has now begun following AEW All Elite Wrestling across both Instagram and Twitter, suggesting that these rumors of CM Punk joining AEW are very much true, and that AEW is currently trying to acquire the rights to use the Cult of Personality entrance music for CM Punk. If you also hadn't known, CM Punk began following AEW on social media as well recently, so in all honesty, it does seem extremely likely that CM Punk will be joining and debuting for AEW in the near future, and with new rumors also pointing out that AEW wants CM Punk to debut and appear at one of their upcoming 3 shows in Chicago, which is CM Punk's hometown, as most of you are well aware. Regardless, we would like to hear from you guys regarding CM Punk likely joining AEW in the near future, and sound off in the comment section below if you think CM Punk made the right decision to stay away from returning to WWE to instead join AEW, and is this a big and worthwhile signing for AEW, or is CM Punk not as relevant at this stage of his career, especially after his failed UFC run, and that AEW will likely be overpaying for Punk, who may not draw the ratings the company thinks he will. However, CM Punk still seems to be a massive star with all the buzz that has been going around following these rumors of Punk joining AEW began, and this will likely be a massive signing for AEW. We should also mention that recently, some high-ranking executives within WWE bluntly responded to fans wondering if they want CM Punk to return, with WWE having the following message: WWE has no interest in doing business with Punk. Now, perhaps WWE are just saying this because it seems likely that CM Punk is going to AEW, and WWE certainly don't want to hype up the impending debut in AEW any more than it already has been. Although maybe that's just what Vince feels and does not even want to bother working with CM Punk again, who has long had the reputation of being difficult to work with. With that said, let us know your thoughts on the whole situation regarding CM Punk, and is AEW the right move for him at this point of his career? We now have a bit of news regarding The Fiend Bray Wyatt's status in WWE. Without question, The Fiend's absence from WWE has been a noteworthy news story that a lot of fans are still trying to figure out as to why Bray Wyatt has been missing from WWE for so long, as The Fiend has been nowhere to be found following his WrestleMania 37 loss to Randy Orton. But thankfully, we do have some good news to share regarding The Fiend Bray Wyatt's highly anticipated return. For those of you unaware, WWE are now advertising The Fiend Bray Wyatt for the August 9th edition of Monday Night Raw, which takes place in Orlando, and this will reportedly be the Raw episode that The Fiend Bray Wyatt finally re-emerges in WWE. As we had talked about previously, Bray Wyatt has apparently been taking some time off from WWE for medical and personal reasons, and it's not because WWE simply do not have any plans for The Fiend after WrestleMania like some had speculated. So in all, it looks like it will only be a couple more weeks until The Fiend Bray Wyatt comes back to WWE, and hopefully Vince McMahon has some good creative ideas for The Fiend moving forward after his return. Because without question, Bray Wyatt is one of the most underrated and talented superstars in all of WWE right now, not to mention one of the most popular acts as well, and it would be a waste for WWE not to promote The Fiend into a prominent storyline when he comes back, perhaps even into WWE title contention. However, it is unlikely that The Fiend Bray Wyatt will be wrestling on the August 9th edition of Raw, and it will more likely than not be an appearance in the Firefly Funhouse. While there had been so much hype and anticipation for a huge Roman Reigns vs John Cena Universal Championship match for SummerSlam 2021, after Cena had made his shock return at Money in the Bank 2021 to confront the Tribal Chief, in a huge swerve, Roman Reigns denied and declined John Cena's challenge to a match at SummerSlam on this past week's episode of Friday Night SmackDown, with Roman Reigns basically claiming that no one wants to see John Cena get a big title opportunity like this anymore. And in the end, it was Finn Balor's surprise challenge to Roman Reigns for a Universal title match that the head of the table accepted. And not surprisingly, a lot of fans are wondering what the endgame WWE have planned here, and whether or not Roman Reigns is going to even face off against John Cena at SummerSlam, or if Finn Balor is going to be replacing John Cena. Like we had mentioned in one of our previous videos, the WWE still do plan to have SummerSlam 2021 headlined by Roman Reigns vs John Cena for the Universal title, but it may not be exactly the way fans expect it to be. According to a new backstage rumor, WWE are planning for Roman Reigns to defend his Universal Championship against Finn Balor on an episode of Friday Night SmackDown in the coming weeks before SummerSlam, although the report speculates that Vince McMahon and WWE could be planning a huge swerve when it comes to Finn Balor's challenge. And despite there previously being rumors that Roman was going to be retaining his title against Finn Balor, that may shockingly not be the case. This new rumor reveals that WWE are considering to have John Cena, the man Roman Reigns denied, seek a bit of revenge on Roman Reigns for denying his challenge, with John Cena interfering in Roman Reigns' upcoming Universal title match against Finn Balor on SmackDown, with John Cena inevitably helping Finn Balor overcome Roman Reigns and win the Universal Championship, which would be a major swerve that few fans would see coming. Although it would make sense considering John Cena has a reason to get back at Roman Reigns for refusing his challenge. As you would likely expect, this would then lead to a Universal title triple threat match between John Cena, Roman Reigns, and Finn Balor at SummerSlam, and it is likely that Roman would regain the Universal Championship after pinning Finn Balor, thus keeping John Cena looking strong in defeat at SummerSlam. Now let us know your thoughts on the new rumors going around that WWE could very well be planning to shock fans with a huge swerve regarding the John Cena and Roman Reigns storyline, and that Finn Balor may be getting his hands on the Universal Championship with a bit of help from John Cena, thus making the Universal title match at SummerSlam 2021 a big triple threat. Do you think that Finn Balor should get a short run as Universal Champion heading into SummerSlam? Or should WWE just keep the title on Roman Reigns and do a one-on-one match between Roman Reigns and John Cena at the pay-per-view?